And hello, Savannah. Thank you for tuning into WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. And you have just tuned into Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. Hello. And Daniil Ivanov in the studio again today. Yay!
Yes, I'm back. How's Savannah doing?
I need the hand clapping recording.
You still got that. I still love that purple thing on the microphone.
Yeah, it looks cool. Yeah, yeah. We're getting along again this week. Last week we were arguing.
It happens.
But you looked yesterday how much time we actually spend on the phone. We're pretty much like on the phone 24/7 because we have so much stuff going on. Anyways,
yeah, but
let me just introduce the show. Hold on.
Movies and everything like that. It's cool. The movie to me was horrible, but we had fun.
Well, let's introduce the show first here.
Yeah,
and so people even know who we are because we just start talking and people are like, "Who? What? The? Where? What?" I thought I tuned into Real Estate Real Talk. You did actually, dear listeners. And thank you for tuning in. This show is actually called Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer and Daniil Ivanov now. And we have been here, I have been here on this show, on the station about a little bit over 4 years now. So I'm one of the older talk show hosts here, DJs. And our show, we talk about anything and everything related to real estate and real estate investing specifically. I am a local real estate investor here in the city of Savannah, and also invest in other states in the surrounding areas like Florida, South Carolina, and so on and so forth, and other states a little bit further away as well. And we talk about our adventures with Airbnb locally, our adventures in tax sale foreclosures, our adventures in remodeling and flipping homes, and landlord laws and all kinds of things and everything in between. And if you want to reach out to me, the easiest way actually is to just email me. On my website is juliamspencer.com. There's a contact button tab on the top. Also, I have a YouTube channel with over 800 videos now, and a lot of the old shows that were broadcast over the years here at the station are also on that YouTube channel. You can also find them in the archives at the WRUU.org website. And of course, I'm eternally behind, but I vow one day I will catch up. I think it's when my kids are out of the house. That's when I'll catch up. But in any case, you can listen to us live every Wednesday at noon for an hour. We'll talk at you. And today's show, actually, we are going to talk about one of those topics specifically as it relates to landlord and tenant laws, which
to all of us
might be, something that might interest you if you are a landlord or a tenant, because we have some
landlord or a tenant. It's either or.
Yeah, right. Well, you could be both at the same time. Yeah. I have been, not for the same place, obviously, but at the same time.
But we found a very interesting information.
Yeah,
it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, so this is a really cool way. If you have questions and you're not comfortable calling into the show, I'm actually not even quite sure how to do that even now after 4 years. I've never done that. But if you want to call in like on a regular line, a recorded line, and we'll play your question on the air as well. But if you have a question, you can also just go on my YouTube channel and ask it on any of my videos, and I'll see it. And this is where today's question actually came from. It was from a subscriber to my YouTube channel, and it was on a video that had to do with what can a landlord do to a tenant, and what can they not do legally. We're talking about in terms of some of the actions that can be taken when there's, for example, damages in the property, or maybe mold, or just anything that's unsafe, some sort of unsafe situation. Can the landlord then just go ahead and start evicting you? And I've, over the last couple of years, and specifically since this pandemic started, I've been listening to podcasts and shows where people have described some of these horror situations that have happened in the last year, because everybody that used to basically go out for work, people are stay-at-home workers now. So the home has again become the central point of a person's life, because you work there, you live there, that's where you hang out. The office is kind of removing itself. That's where you study if you're a student, and a lot more time is being spent at home, which of course made the real estate prices skyrocket, as well as the rental prices, especially here in Savannah. And so we have questions. We have questions of people that are basically saying, hey, I asked my landlord to repair blah, 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 and the next thing I know, my rental contract isn't being renewed. And
actually,
things like that.
I think you need to, not calling the names, but our recent experience.
Yeah, we had something very similar happen. So let me...
ourselves. We're dealing with it right now.
Exactly. And it has to do with a place that I had recently rented. So even though I own properties, I live in my own home again, I was renting another place. And let's just talk about that. Let's get our thoughts together. We'll play some music.
Get it rolling.
And that's kind of like the focus of our show here with Real Estate Real Talk. So I hope you stay on for this hour. I wanted to tell you that the viewpoints expressed in the following program are not necessarily those of WRUU, its license holder, or its staff. And we'll play a little bit of music. We'll be right back. Thank you for tuning into Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer and Daniil Ivanov. And we are talking today about retaliation laws. So let's just introduce what that even is and how we even came about that, because I was focused on that because somebody left me a message on one of my YouTube videos which had to do with landlord and tenant laws, which I made a video about a long time ago. I had actually rented a house in my neighborhood across the street from my house, and I used it simply for
office
as an Airbnb. It was an Airbnb. People were staying there, but it was right across the street from my house. And I had a lot of run-ins with the landlord. It was a brand new landlord. They were a military family. They lived there themselves for a year, then they moved away, and I basically rented their house. I talked them into letting me use it as an Airbnb. They were okay with that, but they were not repairing anything. They were not repairing anything. They weren't fixing anything, and they had a huge backyard which was very much overgrown, and they had asked me to take care of it. And just to take care of it, just to cut everything down, the quotes I had gotten at the time were like around $500 or something. And that was like half the rent that I was paying. So I'm like, I'm going to maintain it once you cut it down, but I'm not going to take care of it. Yeah. There was a little stream that actually went through the backyard. There were snakes there. Like, no, I'll go out there with my kids. We're going to get bit. So please take care of this. I'll maintain it, but you need to cut it down first. So I made a video about this. Somebody left me a message, and it had to do with basically retaliation laws, because what happened after that is I rented the place for 1 year, and they refused to rent it to me after that. They basically,
because you become a pain in the butt.
I was a pain in the butt, and I was asking them for other stuff too that was breaking around the house. We had a hurricane. There was a tree that fell on the roof. Didn't cause much damage, but eventually a little water sickered through one of the rooms. And I mean, it was just little stuff that you can expect as a landlord. If you're not checking on your place, you're gone in another country, but stuff happens.
Yeah, I'm thinking where you're going with it is know your rights as a tenant.
Right.
And a lot of tenants don't, they like afraid to say something because they try to be nice to a landlord because they thinking, yeah, but you're still paying the money. There is a laws for it to protect you and protect the safety first, of course, things like that. And people just afraid to know their rights, and the landlords using it a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
And that's, I want to...
And we don't want to take sides here with landlords and tenants, though, because
we're both.
We're both. And so, but there has to be a sort of process and procedure to be followed, and like
everything else. I mean, just like when you drive, like don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive. Don't whatever. There is laws and rules for everything, and there is rules in that specific situation. There is a lot of rules as well. Tenant have the rights, and the landlord has the rights as well. So the safety environment, of course, that's the number one thing. And I actually just digged out that law. Just passed it on the retaliation.
And we can talk about that, but basically what it says, it is illegal in almost every state for a landlord to retaliate against a tenant for asserting their legal rights. And this is known as a retaliatory action. And under most landlord retaliation statutes, a landlord can't evict harass or raise the rent of a tenant for doing something legal. There is actually a lot of information about that on the internet. And
very a lot. Like, please, guys, like,
do your own research. So don't
yourself.
use us as your legal advice forum. We're not lawyers. We don't claim to be. This show is for education, but mostly entertainment. But we do have some experience in the field. So unfortunately,
well, stuff happens, and there's a lot of information. Again, as we always said, do your homework. Always do your homework. Resources, plenty of resources, but there is a lot of. What interesting is that question which was raised. We kind of first, no, we didn't brush it off, but we kind of looked at it. We kind of like, oh, okay, well, how much information it, and we start digging into it.
There's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's goes very deep. There is a lot of.
And what it came from is basically that some unfortunate tenants, they want to basically assess their rights for having a safe place to live and everything taken care of. And like you said, they want to do the landlord maybe a favor and let them know, okay, this thing might be broken soon, or you may want to look at this, or something is not right here. But they do that, and then they're rewarded basically from the landlord to say, okay, thanks, never mind, see you later. I'll get me somebody who rents from me that's less hassle.
And that's exactly what
happens.
A lot of times happens.
Yeah. And the recent place, I wanted to actually get to a recent story. What had happened is...
Let's tell the story.
Yeah, let's tell the story.
We don't call the names, but
we're not going to call the names. We're not going to tell you what apartment complex this was, but I rented a condo recently nearby in Savannah, and I've been a tenant there, good tenant, for over 4 years. And towards the end of the lease, of course, I knew I wasn't going to renew because I'm moving back into my own house. And so we made a list of things that are wrong with the place. And the story was a little bit different. There was a couple of things that were broken that just needed maintenance. I think there was some shelves that were broken off in one of the closets.
It's a weird tear.
A little bit of a hole was put in the wall, which was accidentally somebody just hit the wall too hard. And the drywall, of course, doesn't hold anything. And just little things like that.
Like
so
dishwasher.
Right, the dishwasher was broken and things like that.
Ice maker in the refrigerator, but it's a wear and tear.
And we put all of this on our list way ahead of the expiration of the lease, about 3 months before. And usually with this particular apartment complex, maintenance staff comes out within a day or two and fixes everything. And I've had all those exact same things that I listed, I had broken before. There was already before a hole in the drywall because they had replaced the thermostat. There was a hole in the drywall because the thermostat was different shape and size. And there was an issue with the smoke detectors not working. They replaced them. And they did everything that I ever wrote for them to repair. Except for when I told them I'm not renewing the lease 3 months ahead of time. Okay, please fix all the stuff. Nobody came out. For 3 months, nobody fixed anything.
Absolutely. They were just waiting.
They were just waiting
until we done with the lease.
And then they sent us the bill.
Yeah.
And we were expecting this because I was waiting for this. I was like, how come nobody's come out?
Yeah, we know the spring chickens. We knew it was
I
going to happen.
called them. I kept calling them, sending them emails, and they're like, oh, it's okay. You won't be charged for it because we already knew this ahead of time. And I never had this in writing, unfortunately. And also they did actually promise me a free carpet cleaning, which they then also later denied that they ever offered me because the person that offered it to me was not working there anymore. Yeah. So like, oh, we're not honoring anything from anybody that doesn't work here anymore. So,
should we play some music because I have something going on like towards
for sure. We just wanted to present you the story. It's the bottom of the hour. Anyways, we got to play some announcements and some music, but this is kind of like what the story was.
Yeah.
And so let me just finish up the story and then we're going to talk about resolution and what you can do and if you're in a similar situation or if you have any issues with your landlord like that. So what happened is they sent us a bill. At the end, I actually thought I was going to get a refund for my security deposit, which was basically zero. They sent me a bill, and then they just waited. They waited. It was 30 days for me to pay the supposed bill. And towards the end of this particular payment deadline, I asked them, I looked it over, and I said, hey, wait a minute. A lot of the stuff I had already asked you to fix a long time ago. Why didn't you fix it? And by the way, what is up with all these? And this is what they did, which I think was also retaliatory. They somewhere, I don't even know where, dug up some water and sewer bills from 6 months before and
Which
said,
is very
by the way,
interesting.
you owe us these water and sewer charges from 6 months ago. And I'm like, wait a minute, aren't you charging me for water and sewer every month with my rent because it's included and that's part of our rental contract? Oh, yeah, but, the water and sewer charges are behind. So we're getting the bills later from the city or from the Chatham County, I guess, and that's why you're getting them now. But the thing is, water and sewer charges for that particular month were almost $300. And this is how they chose to basically get their buck out of me, because they couldn't get me for anything else, because I basically had already written all these repairs up previously. And so there's a lot of really, dear listeners, there's a lot of really underhanded little sneaky stuff going on.
Call it how it
and
is.
for us too, and I'm going to give you a little bit disclaimer here. We're both born in Russia. We're both Russians in the blood. So when it comes down to sneaky stuff and underhanded stuff, we know what's up.
Yeah,
like
we see it like a mile away.
Dudes and dudettes out there, we know what's up when it comes to that. So we saw that coming a long time. So let's talk a little bit about what you can do when stuff like that happens to you. We're going to do that after the break. We have some announcements. We're going to play another song. We'll be right back after that. You're listening to Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer and Daniil Ivanov. Please stay on. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
What does it mean when we say that WRUU is a community radio station? It doesn't just mean that we invite the community to create programming, and it doesn't just mean that we are a voice for the community. It also means that we are counting on the community to keep us going, and you are the community. Almost all of our modest budget comes from small annual or monthly donations from listeners like you. You get to enjoy our community-focused programming because many others have stepped forward to do their part. Now do your part by joining our community of listener donors. Go to WRUU.org right now and make a one-time or monthly donation, and thank you for supporting Savannah's community radio station, 107.5 FM.
Beginning on November 17th and running through mid-January, Location Gallery at the corner of Liberty and Bull Streets is holding a 300 and under sale with an emphasis on holiday shopping. All purchases during this period will benefit WRUU. Gallery hours are 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays and 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturdays. You can also find and shop at Location Gallery online at www.locationgallery.net.
The Live Oak Public Library System offers local residents access to hundreds of thousands of movies, television programs, albums, audiobooks, ebooks, and digital comic books for free on your streaming television and mobile devices through the Hoopla app. Supported devices include Roku, Fire, Apple TV, iPhone, and Android, among others. The selection is vast. All you'll need is your library card. Find the Hoopla app on your device and more information at liveoakpl.org.
These are the sounds of a dinner. A dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 Food Bank strong.
And thank you for staying with us here for Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer and Daniil Ivanov in the studio here with me on our show, where we talk about today's topic, which is landlord retaliation. And in this second, or rather third segment here, we're going to talk a little bit about what the actual law says in the state of Georgia regarding retaliation by landlords. Did you want to you found it, right?
Yeah, I actually found it, and it was actually very interesting, and happened in 2019. It goes in effect on July 1st, 2019. So it's, again, I'm quoting internet right now. It's HB 346 law. Mm-hmm. It's a Georgia law that protects tenants from retaliation by their landlords, effective July 1st, 2019. So before that, it was legal for landlord, before that law took place, it was legal for landlords to punish tenants who asked them to follow the law. For example, landlords could evict tenant who tried to get them repair unsafe living conditions. So as a tenant, you couldn't say, hey, fix my porch or something like that. The stairs are falling down. And he can actually kick you. The landlord had the right to kick you out just because you're trying to sue him or go after him.
Yeah.
For the unsafe conditions. So they changed it in 2019, so the landlord cannot retaliate against when you're asking to get the place safe.
Right.
Which is pretty, I don't know, us being a landlord, I think it's pretty cool. It's fair. Like if something is broken, it should be fixed. And I guess they're protecting the tenant right now from retaliation.
But it's not all states that have this law. Some of them don't have those anti-retaliation statutes. So you need to research your specific law. Obviously, we're reading you here, Georgia, because we're in Georgia, but there's other laws in different states. And there is a website called nolo.com, which is basically a legal encyclopedia, which is free. And you can look up your state and then the statute, and then you can obviously Google that and whatever it is, LexisNexis or something, law lookup, and see what it actually really says that's covered. Because some things are covered in some states and some things aren't.
Yeah. Please do your homework. We always say do your homework.
Yeah.
It's the number one thing. 50% of success is preparation.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, yeah. And there is a website. Let me just give you the website. I know you want to read some of the more common cases of lawsuits that have been brought forward, but let me just give you the address if you want to look it up. So it's nolo.com/legal- or /encyclopedia, and then state /state laws prohibiting landlord retaliation. And just if you can just search state laws prohibiting landlord retaliation. I know it's a long phrase to look up, but it's on nolo.com, and it'll tell you by state the state laws that apply to your specific state. And looking there right now, since we're just want to quote the law for you, it is that Georgia Code annotated 44-7-24, and it does include all three issues. So tenant's complaint to landlord or government agency, tenant's involvement in tenant's organization, and tenant's exercise of legal right. And the retaliation is presumed if negative reaction by landlord is done within 3 months in the state of Georgia. Now, some states like California have 180 days. Arizona, for example, has 6 months. I see now.
Yeah, I saw 6 months somewhere too.
90 days for Delaware and things like that, but which is the same as 3 months. But Georgia has 3 months specifically. Iowa has a year, actually. You can do even a year.
Let's not be a landlord in Iowa.
Yeah, very tenant friendly there some of those months. But California was not a surprise to me, honestly.
Yeah, but it's very cool. It's so much information. We just kind of opened the Pandora box pretty much.
Pretty much.
We didn't know, and we just digged so much stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So tell us about some of the lawsuits that have been, or the most common ones anyway.
Yeah, that's what it is. Actually, I'm Googling. Pretty much that's what I came across this article. The common lawsuits by landlords and tenants. What the landlord, so pretty much what it is, it's a box of what happened, who is suing who, for what reason.
And was there an outcome too?
The outcome, no, they didn't give me the outcome, but it just says how pretty much the landlord is suing the tenant, and then the tenant fighting back with something different. So that's pretty much what the box is.
But it should be the other, yeah, I guess so. Let's talk about it. Let's see what you found.
So the common lawsuits by landlords and tenants. So number one comes in landlord cause of the action. So failure to pay rent. So tenant can be evicted for failing to pay rent.
Well, that's the most common.
It's most common. Yeah, that's the number one kind of lawsuit. So how the tenant respond to it was another lawsuit. Is rent escrow. Landlord must repair hazard condition on property. So that obviously was the case where I'm not paying rent until you make the building safe for me to live.
Gotcha.
So the second one was breach of the lease. Tenant can be evicted for a breach of the lease, obviously. And how the tenant responded to that lawsuit was landlord can only withhold security deposit for certain reasons. So wrongly withholding a security deposit. That's the lawsuit the tenant hit back for that.
I can see that.
So it's just kind of like, hey, why are you holding my money if nothing is broken?
Right.
So it's pretty much basic. So wrongful detainer, evicted a squatter or invited house guest. So that's a big one, especially with Airbnbs and stuff like that and the buildings we're dealing with.
Yep.
It's a very big one, the squatters. So how they responded to that lawsuit is breach of covenant or quality enjoyment. Serious disruption on property that interferes with tenant enjoyment of property. So pretty much they said if I cannot have people party with me, I guess, I don't enjoy my property, so you owe me. That's pretty much how they responded to it. They didn't like...
Yeah, I would like to know what kind of example specific they would give as reasons for this.
What's the outcome? Like, what they would be interesting too. But
we'd have to check that.
Yeah,
that's a little bit too long for this show.
It's a little bit very interesting. I don't enjoy the place, so I don't want your money.
Actually, what might be good is if the courts are open again for spectators, we should go to landlord tenant laws and do a report on that because.
Oh, no, actually, let's invite the judge or somebody to the show as well. Would be interesting to hear what if he's a judge.
Check it out. Yeah, I don't have any reason to go to court, but those are always interesting to listen to.
So it's a shout out to the Chatham County Courthouse. If somebody wants to come out, come on, talk to us. So there is a couple more left. Holding over. Landlord can evict tenant who remains on property after lease has ended. It happened before that they don't want to move.
Oh, yeah. Especially, we're dealing with Airbnbs, but we've had people that are just, I called you telling you, I wanted to tell you I'm staying longer, but you didn't pick up. So I just stayed longer.
Yeah, it's just it doesn't work out. It's what? Yeah. So retaliation, this is how tenant apparently have retaliated in the court. Landlord cannot evict or reduce services of tenant as a result of tenant complaint if complaint is in the last 6 months. I don't know. That's something in the law we need to dig in. Because 6 months, what? So if you just want to stay extra 6 months? I'm not really quite getting it.
Yeah. We have to check on that.
And the last one, but there is no retaliation, but that's the last lawsuit, looks like it. It happened, lawsuits for money damages after tenant leaves. Common suits include damage of property and money lost for the tenant breaking the lease. And apparently looks like there is no retaliation on that one. Nobody sued back. The landlord is actually have a ground to stand on this one. Pretty much damaged property after they leave.
Yeah.
Nobody looks
because I see a lot of people just when they're done with their lease just leave and not follow through with paying the last month's rent, for example, or not paying for any of the damages that were later on found, which is where the situation that we're in now. My previous landlord is asking me to pay all these water and sewer charges that we talked about in our story before the break. And I'm not understanding why all of these sewer charges from 6 months ago are being charged now and weren't charged previously. So what I did is I very kindly and very sweetly, in my own little personal Karen way, asked.
Okay, we have to think about the laughing.
Can you please provide me documentation? So they provided documentation saying we can charge you whatever because we're a apartment community, and so we allocate water and sewer charges according to how many people live in a unit, and we divide it by how many units we have because we get billed a big amount for the entire building or something like that. And my question to that was, that's fine. Can you give me the information on how much you were charged for the whole building? And what is your allocation method, basically? We have 3 people living in the home. Tell me,
where it's coming from. Where's the numbers coming
from? Per person, how much do we owe you? So I can just calculate it. And then give me information about what I paid in the last 6 months, because apparently you're telling me I didn't pay enough. So according to what I should have been charged and what I paid, what's the difference? Let me do the calculation. And this was very close to my 30-day window where I was supposed to pay.
Which they were very sneaky about.
So on one day, they gave me information. They were helpful. And then the next day, 30 days has passed. You turned over to collections now. We're not giving you any more information. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
They waited to the T. They knew, and we knew that's coming too.
It's I mean, it's one thing to screw over somebody who is not knowledgeable, maybe naive, I guess, not paying attention. But it's another thing screwing over people that normally do the screwing over.
We actually do it for a living.
Well,
not screwing people, but we do it for
No,
a
but
living.
we are street smart, I would say. I don't want to say that we're screwing people over, but we're street smart to protect our own business. You know, we're not a charity of course, with our business. We're very much in business to be profitable, and that's what we owe ourselves and our family. So I'm doing an explanation here.
Yeah, no, and that's absolutely correctly. And I'm sorry, I might use that bad phrase, which I always use. You won't be cussing or anything, but
don't use the 7 words.
Yeah, no, those words. But what I want to say is, it's an old phrase. Business is like the bathroom. The more paper, the cleaner your butt. So keep everything in check. Keep all your papers in. Get your homework done, and this is one thing that I noticed too with these apartment complexes. If you're a tenant, everything and anything you do communicating with the front office, do it in writing by email. Yes.
And so you have a timestamp and a date stamp, because they wanted to actually charge me for this carpet cleaning that I mentioned before. But I did have an email from a year ago where somebody in their management said, you can have a carpet cleaning anytime you want. Just tell us when. And I decided to wait till the end of my lease and say, I want it now. And so they couldn't do anything about it. It was in writing. So,
and that's actually another good example. It's kind of not changing the topic how much you think I can bench press, but no. Recently we just did this with the email. That's what I'm trying to say. That email paper trail. Mm-hmm. You remember we just did the pest control. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to charge us because they automatically charged us for the pest control for the houses.
Oh, I got a email about that today too.
And you do have the email which says that we're canceling all the 6 months ago.
They misunderstood, yeah.
They misunderstood.
So, but the thing is, the point is, we're getting our money refunded on another topic, but only and really solely only because I had an email where I stated that that's what I wanted to do, and they just misunderstood it. But I had it in writing. There's nothing you can do. So
yeah, and that's it. There's nothing they can do, and they gotta return the money, and the service are canceled. But thank goodness we have that email. If not, that's it. You're stuck with that bill for a year.
Yeah, and also by the time you notice it, if it goes on your credit card, it's probably usually too late to appeal the charges.
Yeah,
so
we saw it too. 90 days was on that specific credit card. You couldn't.
And they charged it on September 1st, October, November, December, and December 1st.
It just showed up 6 months, 6 months later.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's a different topic.
it's a 24-hour job, but really, what we're talking about today, of course, this landlord retaliation law. So there are different things, in just to summarize, because we're nearing the top of the hour here. But in almost all states, basically, it is illegal for a landlord to retaliate against tenants for acting within their legal rights. And for example, if you have complaints to a building inspector, a fire department, a health inspector, or other government agency about unsafe, unhealthy, or illegal living conditions, that you can do. And it is illegal for a landlord to retaliate against you if you do that. And you actually found something saying that you can do that if you have issues like mold or unsafe conditions. And your landlord doesn't answer, go to the government offices and complain to them. And you cannot be retaliated against by your landlord for doing that.
And that's it's correctly, because what I read, that in some severe cases you can actually call the local police department. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if our police department does it. I mean, I didn't research that deep, but that's what I read. You can call local police department or the
fire department,
or local officials, the authorities of the housing authority.
Right.
And they're supposed to send an inspector. They can actually come in, do the report, see stuff, and the landlord will be. Now it's state takes it in their hands.
And that's basically driving a stake through their heart if they find out and they get a report from a government agency saying that, hey, you need to fix this because your tenant complained. Yeah. But they cannot evict you.
They cannot, because while the situation is fixed, and if they found like I guess if they find a violation,
Mm-hmm.
they cannot even kick you out. You don't even pay the rent or anything like that. That's what it
Right,
says. Like,
right.
until it's fixed.
Till it's fixed. If it's
And
something that's
and they cannot
dangerous.
they can put you on the street or
Right.
nothing like that.
Right.
So that's actually
In
pretty
reality, though,
cool. In reality, yeah, it's a little rough.
I mean,
to
we're
do.
talking about theory, but in reality, a landlord will come up with some other excuse to get rid of you.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah, and it's kind of but
something
it's,
that's legal.
that's what they said. It's severe.
My
cases.
grandma needs to use the apartment now, so I'm sorry I can't rent it to you anymore.
Yeah,
I'm going to
it's
give
good.
you a 1 month cancellation time frame for you to get out because, you know, it's in the lease somewhere. Some small print says that for my own personal use, I can terminate the lease within 1 month notice or something
Law-
like that.
law-
So they'll
Law is a law, but like just base everything on your. But
Just-
if the condition is that bad, just don't even stay up there. Just
right.
move out.
Yeah, if it's bad, you know, I always wonder why people stay for months and years at a time when conditions are bad. Are they really just trying to push the buttons, or they really are concerned and have no other place to go? I don't know. Anyway.
It's kind of weird, but it's a very lot of information. That topic is actually very cool because we were waiting on the. We actually went to the doctor before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were sitting up there on the waiting room and
Right.
reading. It was a lot. We read yesterday, read today. It was so much information. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So guys, please educate yourself.
And
we
there's-
always say.
Actually, there's a couple other things that a landlord can't retaliate against you for. I have two more, actually. We got about 7 minutes here. One of them is to exercise your First Amendment rights to assemble and present your views collectively as in joining or organizing a tenant union. So, for example, I said I
We have
saw
a
that.
union up here.
We don't really, but what if you are as a tenant, you have issues about safety. For example, this particular apartment complex that I'm talking about that shall remain unnamed,
Yeah.
you and I both had a lot of issues about safety
I got
because it's
videos of
supposed
it.
to be a gated community, but the gates are basically wide open. You can
Monday-
also walk
Monday-
around them.
Monday through Friday, six to 6. Pretty much, they just open the
Yeah.
gate because they lazy.
So
to
they're
come
selling
out.
you a gated community, which is not a gated community. And one of the reasons I moved there is for safety purposes.
Yeah.
And so if you were as a tenant, let's just say hypothetically, if I were to join hands with 10 or however many other tenants, and we collectively submit
Complain.
a complaint about safety violations and submit that to basically to the management there and ask them to remedy, they can't evict us for that. They can't retaliate by evicting or raising the rent
because there
or
is no safety.
anything, because that is, you know, one of the things that is advertised in our contract and it's not been fulfilled, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
And there is no. You remember there is no fence. Trash has never been picked up. There is
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. The
There's a lot of
cards-
safety stuff too. Yeah, there's
magnetic card not-
potential.
Magnetic card no assigned to anybody. It's just if you have that magnetic card, you can walk in
Yeah,
anytime.
and we found a random one time that was still good.
Yeah, and
Somebody
I brought it
else's.
back to the office, and they just kind of like, "I'll just keep it, like whatever."
Yeah. So, anyways.
So,
So there's
yeah.
one other last point, because we only have about 5 minutes, dear listeners. I hope you enjoyed the show today. Was if you avail yourself of self-help strategies allowed by your state or local law, such as deducting money from the rent and using it to fix defects in the rental unit, or even withholding the rent entirely for an uninhabitable unit, then you cannot be retaliated against for that. So this is where all these lawsuits come into play that you had just mentioned earlier. You can actually reduce the amount of the rent that's owed by whatever the amount is that you needed to fix something, and the landlord can't retaliate against you. And you probably will get, well, I don't know how the judge will decide if that ever goes to law, but you will be able to have a leg to stand on if it does come to a court case in any case. But we do encourage you to always keep receipts, take pictures, make videos.
Always
like I said,
homework we always do.
The more paper, the cleaner the
Your
booty.
butt. Yeah, it's always is.
Keep it together, yeah. That's pretty
Absolutely,
much it, yeah.
and you always said homework. 50% of success is preparation.
Yep.
Prepare yourself. Plenty of information out there. You can ask us the questions. You can research it yourself. That's what we do. We get the question. We just go and dig in.
And we'll do that, yeah. And you can reach us, obviously, by...
Yeah, the email.
Well,
YouTube?
yeah, the best way is actually just go on my website, if you want to reach out to me. And there is now a tab. I didn't have this before, but there's a contact me tab, and you can just type your message there, and it sends it to my email directly. I gave you my real email address too, but what's the point? The contact form is much easier.
But you can find us on YouTube.
Yeah.
We got plenty of the channel on YouTube. You can contact us there. Facebook, Instagram, you can find us easily.
Yep.
Either
And
of us.
this is obviously Real Estate Real Talk here on WRUU. But my name is Julia M. Spencer. So that is, if you wanted to find me, that's what you type in. You'll Google search and you'll see my YouTube channel and everything else. So everything I do is a passion project. I don't make any money on any of this education. I do have some audiobooks too, but that's more for very specific things that I teach, like tax sale, foreclosure, investing, things like that.
Us closer if you,
but if you have
need.
questions specific to landlord laws and
Just anything
tenant
about real
laws,
estate.
real estate, we be glad to answer those for you. And also, we're on the show every Wednesday at noon, right after the happiness message. So you are invited to listen every week.
Absolutely. And if we don't know it, we'll find it.
Yes.
But if you're a professional in some kind of topic, please come to our show. Just let us know. We'll invite you. We'll gladly talk to you if you're a professional in anything to do with real estate.
Yeah.
City officials, lawyers, whatever you know about real estate, please. We will gladly have that.
Yeah, and also, of course, we do always appreciate any comments, bad, good, ugly,
Bad, good, and ugly.
angry,
I like that.
retaliatory, whatever. We take it all because this show is for you. It's for us. We like to be on the air, but the show's for you to get information. So if you have issues with your landlord, or if you're a landlord that has issues with your tenant, we do appreciate your questions as well. And of course, that brings us to the end of our show. We do have a requested song by
Me.
the guy that's sitting over there. So we're going to play that. I did want to tell you that the viewpoints expressed in the preceding program are not necessarily those of WRUU, its license holder, or its staff.
Savannah.
Stay classy, Savannah. We are live usually on Wednesdays. And I hope you have an awesome, great Wednesday afternoon. And
2 more days is a weekend.
that's right. That's
Awesome.
right. Stay classy, Savannah. Have a
right.
great Wednesday. Bye-bye.
For your free guide to real estate investing, visit juliamspencer.com.